Welcome to Loup TV. I'm your host, joined by Tesla legend Rob Maurer from Tesla Daily. Welcome, Rob. Most of you probably aren't old enough to remember what a newspaper is. Something that was printed, they would deliver them in the morning. Had a job actually deliver that. They call them paper boys. But when there would be a mistake, they would have like a correction section. I don't even know what it would be called. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about, Rob?
I know what newspapers are. I used to
Okay, you know what
play
a
a
newspaper.
paperboy delivery game,
Oh, nice.
video
Okay.
game growing up.
Beautiful. Okay. That's, I guess, a form of understanding what a newspaper is. But this is a correction on my part. I made a mistake in terms of the capacity. I was looking at Tesla's deliveries and the 2nd of January, they're up 61% a year. I looked at what the street was looking for deliveries in 2021. The street was looking for plus 57% growth, which kind of took it from 500 in 2020 to call it 780,000. Still a small number relative to GM and Volkswagen, but moving in the right direction for Tesla. And I had some concern that ultimately, would they actually be able to, from Shanghai and from Fremont, be able to produce enough cars, hit that 780? Seemed like a big jump up. And I thought that the number would be closer to 40%. And would love your take on, you can just have at me, correct me, course correction, please, Rob. How do you think about Tesla's ability to produce 780,000 vehicles in 2021?
Yeah, I think probably unsurprisingly, I feel pretty good about it. I think if we look at what Tesla accomplished in Q4, they had deliveries and production right around 180,000 for the quarter. So if we annualize that, that's already coming out to about 720,000 per year. In preparation for this, I actually looked back and looked at prior year's fourth quarter production rate. And
Nice.
Tesla's never had a year where they haven't exceeded that production rate in Q4 over
Okay.
the next year. So on average, it's actually been about
I see.
40% higher than that Q4 production rate. So
Even if you grow
one
it at
year,
20%,
and 20% is a great number because one year they had like 180% higher. That was like 2018 when the Model 3 really started ramping up. But on average, if we exclude that sort of one time really high increase, they've increased their annual production the following year by about 18% over the Q4 production rate. So if we apply that to Tesla again this year, that would be about 850,000. A couple other data points. If we look at Tesla's installed capacity in the Q3 earnings report, they said that right now they're at about 840,000 vehicles in terms of output, 590,000 from Fremont, 90,000 that being S and X, the balance being Model 3 and Model Y, and then 250,000 Model 3 from Shanghai. So they have actually hit that 250,000 production rate throughout the
is
fourth
the
quarter.
250 in addition to the 840?
So it's
Or,
250 from Shanghai, 590 from Fremont. They
okay.
have been hitting that 250 production rate on a monthly basis in Q4 from Shanghai. They haven't quite been hitting that 590 production rate from Fremont. So I think a couple of reasons for that. S and X, I think demand has been a little bit lower than that. So 90,000 production capacity, but that's 22,500 per quarter. Tesla's really been somewhere around 15 to 18,000 on S and X. I think they've had some demand problems there. They did shut down production for the last 2 weeks here. That'll restart sometime next week. And I think we're going to see a refresh on the S and X. And I think that's going to allow Tesla to actually fully utilize the capacity that they've got there on those vehicles. So I think we'll see a bump up there. I think Fremont will continue to accelerate their production and get closer to that 500,000 installed capacity. And then in Shanghai, we just had the start of production of the Model Y.
Big
So
deal.
it's a huge deal. In the first year of production on the Model 3, Tesla, they're somewhere around 150,000 produced out of Shanghai. So even if we get 150,000 Model Y in its first year out of Shanghai, then we're already at 840,000 plus 150,000. We're looking at, if Tesla were at full capacity all year, right around 1 million vehicles there.
Okay, if we're a million, right around a million vehicles, the question to hit that street 780,000 number, it really, is it then a demand question?
Probably for the street, I would say it's a demand question. For me, I'm pretty bullish on demand. I think Tesla throughout this year is going to increase production. As they increase production, they tend to bring prices down. And, the market in the past has always been like, Tesla's got a demand problem. But if you look at the mission statement, that's what it is. It's to accelerate the transition of sustainable energy. To do that, prices need to come down and production needs to come up. So it's a very, correlated relationship there. And I think we're going to continue to see that in 2021. And that gives me no concern for demand, as Tesla has a lot of opportunity to do that with scale.
Got it. And then final thought just on Austin and Germany and when we think we should see some production out of those factories.
Sure. So just getting back to like production capacity, if we if we say 250,000 in terms of actual production capacity for the Model Y, which is similar to the Model 3 in Shanghai, you've got 500,000 there, 600,000 in Fremont. So we're looking at 1.1 to end the year probably between Fremont and Shanghai. Then you've got Giga Berlin and Giga Texas. So they broke ground in May and August of 2020. So if we look at the timeline for Gigafactory Shanghai, they went from breaking ground to starting production in about a year. So that
Nuts.
means we could look at production starting in Giga Berlin and Giga Texas in 2021, which really is the target if they can follow a similar timeline for
I
those
feel like the
factories.
China timelines accelerated because you had some benefits of the government really wanting to see this up and running.
Definitely, there's been extreme support of that build out in Shanghai. Tesla is attempting to duplicate those timelines or even exceed those timelines in Berlin and Texas. Berlin, there have been definitely some hangups in terms of permitting that have caused Tesla to have to here and there take a week or two of delay. But so far, they've actually been hitting their milestones in terms of like first pillar in the ground and things like that, actually a little bit ahead of schedule of what they were doing in Shanghai. So it's actually looking pretty good. The caution that I would put on Giga Berlin and Giga Texas relates to battery day because Tesla talked a lot about all the new technology, all the new battery manufacturing stuff that they're going to be doing. And because there is so much new stuff there, there's going to be kinks that Tesla has to work out, and that could limit what they're able to accomplish this year from Berlin and Texas. So personally, I'm not thinking about a lot of volume from them for 2021, even though there is some possibility there. But for 2022, I think they're going to be set up in a really good spot to get a lot of production out of those two factories.
Final question on the production question. If you think about scaling from 1 million vehicles a year to 5, 10 million vehicles over the next many years, do they need to do another Fremont and purchase some assets from another automotive company and retrofit? Or is that on the table, do you think? Or do you think that they will just build their own?
I think Tesla's at the point now where they're not going to be necessarily needing to acquire anything at a bargain basement type of deal. I think for them it's probably easier, quicker, more economical to just start from scratch, clear plot of land, build it how they want to build it because Tesla's doing a lot of things from a manufacturing perspective that are different. They're thinking differently about how to optimize their space in their factories. So to start from a clean blueprint when you're sort of reinventing how things are constructed is a lot easier than trying to pigeonhole that into an already existing facility that then what you're just sort of buying the walls and the land, which doesn't really do much for you.
The nice thing about Tesla is that we all have our own little Elon decoders where we translate what he's trying to communicate. And in a recent interview, maybe a month or so ago, he talked about being open, if something to that effect, about buying an automotive company. We don't think that that's the case. I'm in a slightly different group. I agree that it makes more sense just to build it right in the importance of manufacturing for Tesla. But I think that Tesla is open to acquiring assets because it's just such a long road ahead to try to build this up. Like building a factory is really hard to do. Training, hiring people to build these, just really skilled people, it's a difficult thing, and that they can advance what they're doing there. So either way, it doesn't change the substance of this episode, which is that I was wrong. Tesla has plenty of capacity to hit that 780,000. I'm appreciative of you, Rob, setting me in the right direction. A good reminder to myself, always listen to Tesla Daily. For those of you who don't, I highly recommend it. You will be enlightened. You did a great job of staying in the flow there, Rob. Thank you for the time. Look forward to having you back. On behalf of Rob, Gene, and Loup TV, bye for now.